Ja, und ich muss hier einmal 5 drücken. Aber... Okay. Ja. Okay, we'll just open the correct slideshow for you, and now we get started to go into detail and to tell you about a specific project that works with TextGrid and DARIAH DE infrastructure and environment. By the way, my name is Mathias, and I will give you a short introduction into a project we started in 2012, and then I hand over to Frank, who tells us about DARIAH DE services and that are used in the project, and finally I start to go into detail about TextGrid. So the project I want to give you an introduction is Theodor Fontane's notebooks. Theodor Fontane was a German writer during the phase of realism, so we are talking about the late 19th century and German language literature. He prepares notebooks during his extensive travels. He wrote down different and very heterogeneous materials in the notebooks. So we find, for example, timetables for the train. We find manuscripts for letters, manuscripts for literary works. Yeah, we find something like diary entries, and all in all, we have 67 notebooks. They are in the State Library in Berlin, and we prepared facsimiles from about 10,000 pages. So each notebook contains 64 to 220 leaves, and here you have some of the facsimiles, and I will show you the digital edition at the end of this talk. Whoa, this is the worst case. One can get GitHub pages as temporary down for maintenance, but here we are. Okay. So here are the hard facts on this project. The official title of the project is Genetic, Critical and Annotated Hybrid Edition of Theodor Fontane's Notebooks based on a virtual research environment. So genetic critical means that we are going to describe every stage of the handwritten material. So, for example, we can find annotations to formally written notes. We collect data about the medium that is used for writing on the leaves, and the hand that wrote down those notes. And this is a project we are preparing in Göttingen. We work together with philologists from the so-called Seminar für Deutsche Philologie and the Theodor Fontane Arbeitsstelle. Okay. So, Frank. This one.
Right, so that was a short, brief introduction to the project. Now, what do you do if you want to edit a project that is aiming at publishing 10,000 pages or manuscripts, and that's where digital infrastructure comes in. So this, we already saw this twice, I think. This is the overwhelming infrastructure of DARIAH DE. And let us just climb up the ladder of the DARIAH DE house just to show you how all of these aspects can help you build your edition. So let's start at the bottom. And we see something, or not, that's called provision of virtual machines. So in the Fontana project, this is really where the databases are. That is the virtual machines that have the data stored and deliver it to the user. Now let's climb up a little bit, and we see something here that says Pid Service. So how do we make sure that our digital editions are also quotable? That you, whenever you call a page, or if you rely on a PID, that it's the same content that appears under this PID or URL or whatever it is. And this is also made sure thanks to an infrastructure. That's all things that you have to take care of, all these little bits and pieces that build a reliable infrastructure. So let's climb up one step more. What do we get out of it? Of course, we have metadata. That's always part of research data. And we have legal aspects that come into play if you publish something. And let's climb up another step where we already are in the research area. And we see something like collection registry. This is where within DARIAH DE, all collections are registered so that people can find them, and that they also provide data, linked open data, so that people can find them even if they not look for them specifically. We also have a schema registry that's aiming at combining different schemas so that then they can communicate to each other. And can we climb up another step? Yeah, here we have the Digivoy. So once you have assembled all the data, you have PIDs, you have virtual machines that run the databases, you can actually start to do research, or you can, let other people start their research. People you might not even know. So with Digivoy, that's really something on the top of the DARIAH DE infrastructure. You can look into the data. If you have 10,000 pages of a manuscript, of course you won't read them all, and that's not really how we are going to use these digital infrastructures. We're not going to read 10,000 pages of manuscripts just like that, but we can start looking into them by looking for patterns, by searching and finding specific bits that might be of interest for our own research. And then one step ahead, we have a layer with stuff like analysis, publication. This is really something that can start at Digivoy, but you can do so much more things about it. And in the after lunch talk, we have some examples where the fun begins. Why do we go at great length to build all these big digital collections? Not because we want to build them just so that they are there, but because we want to do things with them that we couldn't do before in the pre-digital era. But I will leave this for the after lunch session. I just wanted to tell you that you're not have to be overwhelmed by an infrastructure like this. This took years to build, and there are many people involved in this, and we have many experts working on all ends. And this is something that's evolving. So whenever someone needs something that's not there, you could talk to us and help build this infrastructure, be it in Germany or be it in the DARIAH EU level. But that's really what we are there for. We are not doing this just because, but we want to help ourselves and other people to do their research.
So, okay. Let's go back to TextGrid again, and probably I will repeat some of the slides and definitions we heard before, but I think it's important to make a few things more clear, and I will tell you at first a bit. I will tell you on the history of the project. I will tell you about the generic workflow, and I will show you a specific one from the Fontana project. And finally, I have some slides about things we probably should learn today that we are prepared for tomorrow. But first of all, I think there's one term that no one of my colleagues mentioned before, but in my opinion it's one of the most important ones. The TextGrid infrastructure, the software that runs on the server, the TextGrid lab itself, it's open source. So you can go to the TextGrid website where you can find all information about the project, where you can find a manual, but where you can also find the software. You can download your own TextGrid if you want. So now let's talk about the history of the project. Martina already said that it was founded for 9 years from the Federal Ministry, but the idea started in 2004, where some founders in Germany were interested in grid computing. And together with other only scientific projects, TextGrid was the only one that comes from the humanities. And so to say, the only project that comes with a focus on humanities and tried to build something with grid computing. And now I'm sorry, I have to confuse you. Well, the name TextGrid nowadays is probably a bit wrong because the grid computing now do not play such a big role in the project and in the whole infrastructure. We have some redundancies, we have some backups, but nothing that comes with the power of grid computing, because grid computing, for example, in the other project, they prepare some research on climate, and they have to compute large data sets. They are really talking about big data when they prepared some models and statistics on climate change. So the focus switched a bit from grid computing to long-term archiving and server infrastructure, just for those purposes. And since TextGrid has a focus on preparing XML documents according to the TI standard, and handles images, facsimiles, for example, very good. You do not handle text data only. You can handle image data, and you can probably ingest other things like music, sequences of music, and prepare those documents with an XML editor. So I'm sorry to confuse you about the term, but I think it's important to mention this. So let's go back to the roots and the key ideas of TextGrid, something Martina mentioned before. It was about the exchange of data, knowledge, information, and methods, technologies, tools, and so on. And sometimes it's hard for philologists to deal with the term data. Well, in most cases, researchers do not know when they are dealing with data and what research data actually is and means. And so it is very important that the TextGrid infrastructure is a kind of a mechanism that collects data during the research process without the scholars, without that the scholar have to know about that some metadata is collected and prepared and some technical things happened in the layer below the editing process. So, in the early phase, the project started collecting some requirements. So the terms are accessibility of the data, accessibility as well of accessibility of the whole infrastructure, open source I mentioned before, the transformation of textual data and the combination of textual data with image data, for example, and also analysis where we have the example with DigiVoy and the Voyant tools that are integrated where we have an interface from our repository to the Voyant tools as well. So obviously the goals are to enable researchers to prepare new research results and knowledge, to come up with new questions and create new methods for their purposes. Again, I have to mention the definition of virtual research environment, and you saw this definition is just one out of probably 10 definitions you can possibly find on the internet or in other publications, but it's a very good one from my point of view, and the main focus is on enabling multiple researchers in different locations to prepare their entire research process with the help of a virtual research environment, and also the further processing, and here it comes again, of data. So probably this definition is a very generic one, and I will give you an introduction into the generic workflow you can apply with a TextGrid environment. And again, this picture where you get an overview. So it starts with digital objects you can import into the research environment, and inside the tool, mainly inside the TextGrid laboratory, you are able to prepare XML documents with an XML editor. I mentioned before that you can link text data with image data. Also, some dictionaries are available, and there are further tools and services you can add inside the TextGrid laboratory. But all the data that is collected is stored in the repository. It's a kind of a private area where scholars can but don't have to share their data, and this repository data is available online, and so you can work together with your collaboratives and prepare different things. For example, let's pick out the point relations and linked open data. So in many projects we are dealing with, the scholars are interested in linking their own data with authority files, so that you can include a data set that comes from a database outside, external to the research environment. And there are some examples we included into the TextGrid lab. There's, for example, a authority file on persons this is this special one is related to the German history, and you can find nearly every person of interest in the database, and every person has a unique identifier. So you can include the relations to your own edition with the help of these identifiers, and this is accessible within the TextGrid lab and without that you have to enter some code. It's a front end and graphical user interface where you just can enter the name of a person, and the tools below this user interface, querying the database, select the unique identifier and store the relation within the repository. So this is a very generic example. I prepared another slide for you that shows the workflow we established in our project on the notebooks. This is a very detailed version, and we prepared this also to get an overview of the project and to create a mechanism that helps us control in our own work, so that we don't run out of time, for example, and we can handle some parts of the project management with the help of such a visualization of our own workflow. So probably you can see that we start in the earliest phase not with digitized objects. We were responsible to digitize the notebooks on our own, and created a metadata schema based on what philologists told us about the notebooks, the so-called appraisal of the material. In a very early phase, colleagues created transcriptions, but they did not start creating transcriptions in XML documents. At the first phase, they wanted to work in an environment they are comfortable with, so they just prepared the files in Microsoft Word, but with no layouting, with no further tools from the text processor. So there were just basic things were in this Word document. So, for example, they used bold letters to mark up the two different styles of writing in the notebooks, and this is pretty much all we had in the Word documents. We converted the Word documents with the help of a tool provided by the Text Encoding Initiative into raw XML form with just a bit of, just some informations added in the TI code. And then we started with encoding in the XML editor. So there's a kind of a transfer of technology we were interested in, that we enable the scholars working with XML documents. So nowadays they are pretty skilled in preparing those documents. They know many things about the XML standard, and this is also very good for the last point in the graphic, for the usage of the digital edition, because when you know what you have prepared in your digital edition, when you know what you can find in your own TI code, then you are more likely able to query the documents and to ask the collection, the corpus we are creating about specific features. And, so just have a look that I do not run out of time, because I want to show you some tools we offer in the TextGrid laboratory, and I will use the chance to show you the digital edition at the end. So there are some categories of tools we offer in the TextGrid laboratory. We will have a look on some of them tomorrow, and these categories are generic tools, tools for organizing the data, and specific tools. So very generic ones are, for example, responsible for the import and the export of data, for searching a data set and navigating through your projects, and user and project management is named here as well. To organize the data, we can create kind of aggregations. You can compare it with folders on your computer. We can manage different revisions of the documents and prepare some transformations. And finally, the publish tool is probably the last one you have to use during your project workflow. Here's a single tool I want to show you. This is a text image link editor, and probably Jimena tells us about her experience with the text image link editor in the user story she prepared. So this is a very easy to use graphical user interface to mark up a passage in the image and to link such a part of the image to a specific passage of text you have in your text document, in your XML document. So pretty much the only thing you have to do is draw a square around a word or a passage, or like a line, or probably a paragraph, and place your cursor in the XML editor where you find the corresponding passage, or you can also select the text passage with your mouse cursor and click on a single button that is called link the area to the text, and you're done. And you can prepare a kind of synoptic view in your published edition with the help of this single tool. Two informations I have to give you to be prepared for tomorrow. The first one is that within the TextGrid environment, everything is an object. So I come up with examples of objects on a following slide, and every object within the TextGrid environment is referenced with a so-called unique resource identifier, the TextGrid URI, and it's important to know about this mechanism because this means that a title of a document is the metadata, is part of the metadata of an object, and the internal reference of those objects is handled with the unique resource identifier. So here are two sentences I copied from the TextGrid manual, which provides the best source if you have any question, if you want to look up some definitions, if you don't know how a specific tool works, just look into our wiki platform where you find the manual, And yeah, this is the definition for objects. Such items are the simplest but also most common entities in TextGrid. And an item can be a page, a scan, or an XML document. And also the folders where you organize your data are items as well, and referenced with the TextGrid URI. So, here's an example for a URI. I don't know if we really have a 1, 2, 3, 4 URI. It consists of a first part, which is just an internal one that we can identify TextGrid sources in opportunity to other entries in other databases. Then this number is generated automatically, and every document you will create, every folder you will create gets a unique number. And the last one is the revision number, so you can store different revisions of documents, and they just get counted from 0 on. So here are the typical items we can create within the lab, or we can import XML documents, images, and there are different types of folders that is due to the different metadata we can store here. So, for example, every collection has metadata about the collector who's responsible for the connection. Every edition, for example, has to have a license and a rights holder. And aggregations are pretty much the simple folders with. I hope I'm right with not with any specific metadata. Yeah. Okay. So I really don't want to run out of time, so I skip the last point about the role-based access control. We will see it tomorrow, and.
Time to tour, you need to explain that before I go.
No, it's not that important. We will see it tomorrow. But let me just give you an example for the usage of our publication framework. This is mentioned by Martina as well, the so-called SADE tool, Scalable Architecture for Digital Edition. And we published this website in July, but we added the I don't know what no okay but we added the first of our notebooks last week. Go away. So and we prepared a synoptic view of the digital edition, and we used the text image link editor. This is the example I want to show you. Just give it a little time, and what you can see here on in the middle of the screen is transcription of the facsimile. So this is all text. It's searchable, and you can get additional informations on abbreviations, or you can see, for example, references. This is the outer front cover, and a label here. The label contains information about what you can find in the notebook. It's written by Theodor Fontane himself. And so, for example, you can activate the references and click on the link that guides you to the part about Thuringia, German, a state within the Federal Republic, and let's just go ahead. And you can see the WAFI underline here, for example. Everything is mentioned in the TI code. So, and you will come over. You will get to the part on Thuringia and the history of Thuringia. I want to show you another example of the usage of the text image link editor, because we can find many sketches and drawings inside the notebooks. So we use the text image link editor to crop this shape of the facsimiles, and then we can include the sketches into the digital edition, and we can we also have references in this site. So here's a legend below the sketch, and you can highlight the points mentioned on the sketch from the legend. And here on the next page, pretty much the same example of the usage of the text image link editor. So, this session is announced until 1 p.m., correct? Just 1 minute for urgent questions.
Yes, but we can maybe take some minutes if we have questions.
Okay. But I will stop here, and I will give you the link to the website in the Moodle as well. I just have to add this. So.
Entonces, dejamos estos minutos para ir pensando en una pregunta. Okay.
You spoke about transforming from Word to tape. I know the old PDR for Open Office. Which tools should I use to convert from Word to TDA?
There is Oxgarage, yes. We use Oxgarage, but as I said before, the Word documents did not contain any headings or underlines. Nearly plain text, yes, but to go this way, it was a bit more comfortable for our partners to work in Word documents, store them on their computer system, just share them with us.
Another question. Images occupy a vast amount of space. May I have my images somewhere else, and the text I'm transcribing and editing in your platform, or is all because of the copyright laws? There can be some funny thing in some part of the world.
We know about this issue, and if you want to use the tools inside the TextGrid lab, you have to import the images. Yeah, but in your TI documents, you can reference to external resources as well, and probably I can click on this image to open the so-called Mirador viewer. Hope that this is going to work. This is a kind of a platform and a client-server infrastructure that can be used for those purposes. So to integrate images in your own digital edition does not mean that you have to store the images. You can reference them, and if the provider of the facsimiles or the images offers a so-called IIIF interface, you can easily include them into your own digital edition. So here, just 3 examples from the TextGrid repository, but there are many institutions that offer this IIIF. So, for example, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, and you can get every image from the server of the Bibliothèque Nationale de France into your own digital edition without storing the image on your own server, just with this interface. You're welcome.
I have a question. First, I have a question for you guys, Inga and Claudio. What about in your presentation was great, but I was thinking, did you do some kind of research on the projects that you have there at university, or the projects to do this theory about measuring success? Did you use some kind of extra bibliography, or did you what are your what is your literature to think about this theory of measuring success, and how do we measure unsuccessful projects, or just help them?
Well, first of all, we had some just general concepts that are around in, for example, economic theory about how to measure success. Then we also had one project which was called Success Criteria from Natural Research Environment, which was funded by the DFG, the German Research Foundation. And this is actually one of our colleagues, or some of our colleagues worked on this project, and they kind of established or did some surveys and asked people what could be criteria, which is a triangle we saw with different criteria. So yeah, they actually asked people who work in the project what they think is
And Frank and Mathias, I have 2 questions. One, for example, in relation to Fontana's project, for example, and a little bit in relation to their presentation, what do you take into account when you start modeling the project? Because I was wondering, maybe Fontana is a very important author in Germany, maybe not so important, for example, for Spanish speakers. So what do you take into account to develop this kind of big project, which I think is the most important thing for the community? And another question that has nothing to do, but we were talking about history to grade. For digitizing all the diaries, what kind of scanner did you use, and what techniques did you use for that? We were talking about that, and it's also a question that was going around during the break, so I bring it back to your presentation.
Okay, so what did we take into account during the planning phase of the project? Well, let me explain this based on the target group of the edition. So there are 2 target groups we are preparing for. So first of all, the scholars that are dealing with Theodor Fontana, his works, and his influence in German poetry and literature. And they should be able to work with the notebooks from all over the world. So we want to provide all the transcriptions and the materials open source and available in the digital edition for everyone. And also the public public sector, so that we have a usable a web presentation that is suitable for nearly everyone who's interested in Theoria Fontana. So, for example, if a teacher in school wants to show something from the notebook, it's easy to get access, it's easy to handle all this, and so it's easy for pupils as well to have a look into the data. And the technology we are using is really 100% TI in the XML document, so everything should be according to the standards. Standards where we, the TI standard, where we also reported some issues we had, and we have some influence in because of the community of the TI, and we want to prepare the edition so that that no one should come up in 10 years and say something like, "Oh, this edition is not a very good one. We have to go to the notebooks again. We have to digitize them again," so that no one has to touch the material later on, because there's, as always, there's acid in the paper, so we have to be careful with all the sources, and so we created high-resolution images we are offering as well, together with the transcriptions.
Do you need the documentation of the project, like online?
Yes, we will publish the first version of our internal documentation in January 2016, and this is kind of a combination of the TI schema and the documentation, because in the TI's ODD files you can store your own documentation together with the schema information. Let me give you a preview on this. Because we collected many. What's this? I'm sorry, I pressed the any key or something like this, and X1, X2, X3. Probably I shut down the computer or something like this accidentally. X1 is written on the screen.
Okay. Maybe if... dijo adiós la ordenador.
Sorry for destroying your hardware.
By the way, every successful project involves animals. You see the penguin there, and the animal of the text is an owl, as you might have noticed. So that's, important advice. Always have an animal connected to a successful project.
Someone has to log in here.
Okay.
Oh. So we are organized with the help of a wiki platform as well, but our project is some days older than the DARIAH wiki service, so this is not a DARIAH wiki, but it's pretty much the same. And internal project, internal stuff, and yeah. So as you can see by the here with the table of contents, our documentation is very long, and here's the point number 321, handwritten sources, and for every feature we find in the text, we try to provide an example. We try to provide a readable form and the XML version. So let's pick up one example of so 3 times. Yes, this is this part. This feature I show the mouse with the cursor here is mentioned with a 3 time deletion in a vertical way. So we have this example here, and we have a coding example here where you can see line through style, triple oblique, and the angle of the deletion of the lines. So this is just a single example, and I like this one, the triple oblique deletion with an angle of 45 degrees, and we can have a look on this example in our digital edition. I know the page is page number is 1R, and so you find this example here on the facsimile, and the transcription looks like this. So 3 time and 45 degrees. And in the XML example, we can find it. Just here, yeah. So we define the TI zone, and this zone is decorated with a line through.
1:15.